Hello and welcome everyone, it's Capcan here, and today we're looking at our Druid talent trees, and afterwards we're gonna look at all the probably all the specializations for the Druid, but first of all, general Druid talent tree. Yeah, we will go with the balance in here, therefore it's gonna mean that we have some abilities already spec'd into. But that's not gonna be a problem probably, and yes, I guess let's go with first of all is gonna be Rake. Requires cat form, rake the target for some bleed damage and additional bleed damage over 15 seconds, worst combo point, melee range. So yeah, you can have you can spec into or not spec into the other form, different form abilities, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's go with it. Frenzied Regeneration heals for 32% health over 3 seconds. 30 seconds cooldown, requires bear form. Yeah, so that's the baseline things that we've already had before as well. Rejuvenation, of course, one of our signature abilities. 1100 mana, heals the target for 2790 health over 12 seconds, 40 yards range. Baseline stuff, and what do we have already spec'd into with balance? Of course, it's Starfire, call down a burst of energy causing 1000 arcane damage to the target and additional damage to all other enemies within 10 yards, which is quite interesting, yeah, because some other classes and specializations had their own specialization signature abilities in their tree, in their specialized tree, and in general tree there was more of a like utility stuff that you're gonna take 100% from the first talent point. So I understand that you're probably gonna take like some stuff like auras, like damage auras or protection auras with paladin talents, and they are already taken up for you. But there's quite a big difference between they've made your aura in the general talent tree, and you're taking it 100% because game is taking it for you 100%. And Starfire and Star Surge, which are just like one of the main abilities for the specialization itself and for the rotation of the specialization, which is quite interesting like change here. Okay, so we have Starfire and Star Surge. Star Surge is Astral Power Spender. Instant launch a surge of stellar energies at the target, dealing some damage and empowering the damage bonus of any active eclipse for its duration. Yeah, so, okay, pretty interesting. Now, what do we have here? So probably this part of the tree is gonna be more of a like cat and bear oriented. Here is gonna be something like general utility. And here we're gonna have our balance part, yeah, which is again a little bit of a different vibe going on here. Thrash, so yeah, Thrash requires cat form or bear form. Thrash all nearby enemies dealing immediate physical damage and periodic bleed damage. Damage varies by shapeshift form, which is quite baseline stuff. I guess I probably can already see that there's not gonna be a tons of new stuff in the Druids, because Druids already have very packed, they're already packed with different abilities, different styles of things, and yeah, probably gonna be most of the time something that we've already had but just shuffled around. So Reap requires cat form. Oh man, those casters, they're a little bit too much for my own taste. Let's go somewhere around here. Yeah. Okay, so now with Reap, so that's finishing move for our cat form, which deals bleed damage to target. Maim again, finisher move for our cat form, but which deals burst damage and not damage, yeah, like so. Finishing move, physical damage and stuns the target, yeah, and stuns the target. Then Swipe requires cat form and bear form. Swipe nearby enemies inflicting physical damage. Yeah, so that's heavily, that's very strictly, it is gonna be very strictly like divided in different categories. Killer Instinct, physical damage and armor increased by 2%. Iron Fur is by 2 and then 4 and then 6%. You can even go in massive increases of damage for not your main spec. Okay, that's very different stuff, especially if you're like compare it to Warlock, where you had like 2 or 3 or 5 maybe talents with damage at all on the whole tree, and all other stuff was like general tree, and all other stuff was packed with like survivability, utility, mobility, and all good stuff like that. Okay, Iron Fur requires bear form, increases armor by 452 for 7 seconds, 0.5 seconds cooldown, and costs us 40 rage. Alright, probably let's go with like this part of the tree, because I don't really need to see what do we have there first, because it's like it's all bear and cat form. Increases your movement speed by 8% and then by 15%. Oh, and if you're taking all killer instincts, yeah, then you're getting your skull bash, which requires cat form or bear form, has 15 seconds cooldown, and you charge and bash. So that's our blink, that's our charge ability, and yeah, prevents any spell, like interrupts spell casting, prevents spells to being cast. Here we have our tireless pursuit. For 3 seconds after leaving cat form or travel form, you retain up to 40% of movement speed, which is quite handy. Additional mobility, always good, especially in PvP. Primal Fury requires cat form. When you critically strike with an attack, that generates a combo point. When you critically strike with an attack that generates a combo point, you gain an additional combo point. Okay, damage over time cannot trigger this effect. Right, get it. So this was more of a cat part of the cat bear part, and then we'll probably have, yeah, and this is a little bit of our like bear. Thick hide reduces all damage taken by 3 and 6%. And you can get it without any specific form, which is quite interesting. Okay, and here we have our like one off. Choose one, either wild charge with fly to a nearby ally's position, 25 yards range, 15 seconds cooldown, or tiger dash, shift into cat form and increase your movement speed by 200%, reducing gradually over 5 seconds, and 45 seconds cooldown. Yeah, so pretty basic stuff as well. You're gonna take one, depending, you're probably 100% gonna take additional mobility. We have Soothe. Soothe is the target, dispelling all enrage effects, 10 seconds cooldown as well here. And then Ursoc's Endurance. NNF, so maybe not 100% sure on this. They, at least they're not 100% sure. When you use Bark Skin or Survival Instincts, absorb 4000 damage for 8 seconds. Alright, and Stampeding Roar, shifting into bear form and let loose a wild roar, increasing the movement speed of all friendly players within 15 yards by 60%. So very useful skill in almost any situation. Alright, and probably if these parts are divided in similar, but no, I think that last part of the tree they contain like to be a bit more spread out probably. So let's go for the center part of the tree. Let's take some talents here. Man, UI looks crispy. Improved bark skin, duration increased by 4 seconds. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's just universally pretty good. Verdant Heart, Frenzied Regeneration and Bark Skin increase all healing received by 20%, which means that it's pretty good for maybe single solo content or where you're like pseudo tank, I don't know. After Rejuvenation you have Swift Mend, consumes a Regrowth, Wild Growth or Rejuvenation effect to instantly heal an ally for pretty good amount of health, 15 seconds cooldown, 800 mana. Remove Corruption, nullifies all curse and poison effects. Okay, so here's more of a healing part. And Moonking. Okay, so Moonking is like you can not take it. You probably will take it, of course, but you cannot take it, which is quite weird. Okay, increasing the damage of all spells by 10%, your armor by 125%. Yeah, so like Moonking optional is a little bit weird. Hibernate forces the enemy target to sleep for up to 40 seconds. Any damage will awaken, only works on beast and dragonkin. Nurturing instinct, magical damage and healing increased by 2 and then 6%. Holy moly. Yeah, like way more damage and way more different kinds of stuff in this tree, and that's good because that's druid, and like druids are the hybrid. And it's quite logical that there are quite a lot of stuff that you can combine, and yeah, Cyclone tosses the enemy into the air, making them invulnerable for 6 seconds. Pretty baseline stuff here. Astral Influence increases the range of all your abilities by 3 and then 5 yards, which is quite good, and we had it already. Typhoon blasts targets within 15 yards in front of you with a violent typhoon, knocking them back and dazing them. Usable in all shapeshift forms, so yeah, optional crowd control, even displacement, which is quite great. Natural recovery, healing done when healing taken increased by 3%, and then and I don't have enough talent points, which means that I'm gonna go like this. So 3, and then probably it's gonna be 6%, but it's just a little bit bugged here. Sunfire, a quick beam of solar light burns an enemy. Okay, so Sunfire is optional again. Oh. Man, yeah, it's because you want your, yeah, that's quite logical that they are all on the general tree, because you want your, because that's highly hybridous class, you want all, in theory, you want all of your specializations have at least some access to the powers of other specializations, which means that you need to take all your main abilities into the general tree. Yeah, and those specialized ones are gonna be in the specializations. Okay, pretty cool. Sunfire now applies its damage over time effects to all enemies within 8 yards, which is here as well. Quite cool. Wild Growth heals up to 5 injured allies within 30 yards of the target for some health over 7 seconds. Healing starts high and declines over the duration. Okay, let's go with bottom part of the tree. So yeah, everything very well divided into different subcategories on the general talent tree from the druid. Here we have a choice between Mass Entanglement, Roots the target and all enemies within 15 yards in place for 30 seconds, with 30 seconds cooldown, or Ursol's Vortex, instant 1 minute cooldown, conjures a vortex of wind at the destination, reducing all movement speed of all enemies by 50%. The first time an enemy attempts to leave the vortex, winds will pull that enemy back to its center. So yeah, you're probably gonna take Ursol's Vortex more times in M+, probably, but yeah, like both skills are quite good. There's nothing new there. Innervate, infuse a friendly healer with energy, allowing them to cast spells without spending mana for 10 seconds. Seems very party-oriented stuff. Instant 3 minutes cooldown. And Nature's Vigil. For 30 seconds, all single target damage also heals a nearby friendly target for 20% of the damage done. Oh, so you can heal even more being in DPS like form, which is quite great. Okay, very interesting. Improved rejuvenation. Rejuvenation's duration is increased by 3 seconds, so that's, again, this part is if you want to be more of a sub-healer, I guess, or just healer. Likara's Teachings. You gain 2% of a stat while in each form. No form, Haste. Cat form, Critical Strike. Bear form, Versatility. And Moonkin form, Mastery. And there are 3 points to that thing. I'm gonna take some points away from here. So 6% of a stat, additional stat, depending on your form, which is quite interesting. And the sounds of someone... Man, I've chosen the wrong part of the world to look upon the talents here. Okay, improved stampeding roar. Cooldown reduced by 60%, by 60 seconds. Okay, with baseline 2 minutes, it's way more AoE mobility for your allies. Or renewal instantly heals you for 30% of maximum health, usable in all shapeshift forms. 1.5 minutes cooldown. That's our again, that's like the thing that we've had in talents before as well. And Heart of the Wild, instant 5 minutes cooldown. Abilities not associated with your specialization are substantially empowered for 45 seconds. Yeah, so that's for you to be even more hybrid. Feral physical damage increased by 30%. If you want to be like very efficient in other form while you're in some specialization. Bear form gives an additional 20% stamina. Multiple uses of iron form may overlap, and frenzied regeneration has 2 charges. Or restoration, healing increased by 30% and mana costs reduced by 50%. The only thing that is quite weird for me is that, oh yeah, and probably if you're not having balance here in the second as your subclass talent tree, there's gonna be balance here instead of something else. Okay, pretty good, pretty interesting stuff here. That's way more for a hybrid, not as like healer straight up oriented as here. Or like, yeah, you can say that Nature's Vigil is not only healer or heal hybrid talent, but it's healing still. So yeah, it's of course it's general utility for your group and stuff, and you can take it. I guess I've made myself pretty clear here. For 4 seconds after shifting to bear form, your health and armor are increased by 10%. So more sub tank stuff here. Of course, it goes after our wild wild cat and bear talents. Here we have one or the other. Incapacitating roar, shift into bear form and invoke the spirit of Ursol to let loose a deafening roar, incapacitating all enemies within 10 yards for 3 seconds. Damage will cancel the effect, so yeah. Incapacitating enemies AoE. Or Mighty Bash invokes the spirit of Ursok to stun the target, or a single target stun. So depends on the situation. Well-honed instincts. When you fall below 40% health, you cast frenzied regeneration up to once every 120 or every 90 seconds. So yeah, like at least 1 point in this target is in this talent is pretty good. Frenzied regeneration again heals you for 32% of your health, which is quite nice, I guess. Additional healing when you need it. Furor. When you shift into a form you haven't been in for 15 seconds, abilities cost no mana, energy, rage, or astral power for 4 seconds, which encourages you to shapeshift at least sometimes in some types of other forms and use some skills in them. Pretty cool stuff. Maybe that seems way more interesting than. Not way more interesting than, way more interesting, not powerful than Nature's Vigil. I don't really know which one of these is gonna be more powerful. Further is for you to be sustainably more in different kinds of other specializations forms. Heart of the Wild is like for you to at least once in a fight be in other form and perform very well, and they're probably gonna. But you can't really take them both, right? Probably not. Yeah, that's for your bursty, for your very... for more massive buff during your shapeshifting at least once in a fight, and that's just general utility where you heal a friendly target with your damage done. So yes, something like that goes general talent tree for druids. Thanks for watching and hope you're having a good day. Goodbye.